This is what I've learned. This is what I tell other people is it's going to be okay. I don't know what version of okay that's going to be for you, but it is going to be okay. Let everybody know what's going on. Talk about it with everyone around you. Hey, I'm Greg Grunberg, and welcome to Talk About It, the podcast where we focus on topics that everybody should be talking about, and hopefully they will, or not only talking about, but screaming about.
Epilepsy shouldn't keep you from doing anything that you want to do.
Talk about it. Talk about it. Talk about it.
This season, we are going to continue to talk about living with epilepsy, like my son and millions of Americans who do. We're also going to be looking at other related conditions and causes. Our goal is to knock down, drag out, eliminate stigma, and raise awareness. Oh, and hopefully have a laugh or two along the way. Each of our episodes will feature amazing advocates and champions. We will learn together how to make a real difference in our own lives and in the lives of our communities.
Talking about it is important. It's all about connecting.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Talk about it. Talk about it.
Talk about it.
Thank you for talking about it.
Thank you for talking about it.
New season, new look, new sponsor. Thank you to Neurelis and everyone at Neurelis for sponsoring Talk About It. Talk About It is also sponsored by Jazz Pharmaceuticals. Thank you, Jazz, for always being there for us. All right, let's jump right into this episode of Talk About It. Hey, it's Greg Grunberg, and once again, you have found us here at Talk About It. We have a really great episode.
Incoming transmission.
Is this thing on? Welcome, everybody, to Talk About It with Nick Marzock. That's right, I'm taking control for this very special two-part series. Here's what's happening. We all have the privilege of hearing these incredible conversations that Greg has with guests of all types, from people with epilepsy to caregivers to medical experts, each with their own unique stories and perspectives. But here's the thing, we have an expert right there every episode. Greg himself is an expert. He's in the community. He's a caregiver. He has stories and perspective, and the perspective of his family and his son Jake, who has epilepsy. So we're going to turn it around on Greg, put him in the hot seat, in the guest seat. Throughout the years, Talk About It has received so many questions from people in the community, whether that's from caregivers or people living with epilepsy. So in this two-part series, Greg is going to be answering those questions. He'll be telling his stories and giving advice. Stick around, you don't want to miss it. This is episode 1 of this conversation with our very own Greg Grunberg, right here on Talk About It.
I don't trust this. I don't trust this at all.
You shouldn't. You shouldn't. You're in the hot seat today, man.
I know. So what are we doing exactly?
Right from the horse's mouth, if you will. I want some answers to these questions that Talk About It has been getting. So first up, let's go back to the beginning. I know you've told this story on Talk About It.
Yeah.
But, you know, whenever Jake was diagnosed with epilepsy, how did Elizabeth navigate that? And what helped you the most?
Well, I mean, I have talked about it, but there have been a lot of things, personal things that I haven't shared. And I love this opportunity because I can talk about this. Look, don't put up any guardrails. Don't put up any, if I could talk to other people about this, just let yourself be emotional. Let yourself be a mess. Certainly it was really, really tough for us. We had no family history of seizures or epilepsy in our family. I knew nothing about seizures. And Jake had these absence seizures, these staring spells. We didn't know what they were. And his teachers certainly didn't. And they brought it up to us as saying, Jake kind of zones out. And kids do zone out. They have other things on their mind. But for Jake, it was this 5 seconds of just like an editor taking 5 seconds of his life, and he would just stare for a second. And a couple of times that would happen when the teacher was talking to him. So we were aware of it. Then Jake would look out the car window and his eyes, you know how your eyes follow things out the window. Mm-hmm. And that was a trigger for him. And he started having seizures. So he developed all kinds of seizures, and it was really tough for us. And we leaned on each other. We are the type of people, Elizabeth and I, parents at least, that we want answers and we want to fix our kids, just like everybody else. You just want that silver bullet and that fix. Epilepsy is not that way. And, you oftentimes hear from neurologists and epileptologists, man, his or her brain is perfect. and yet they're having seizures. So it's incredibly frustrating. And there's so much in the unknown. Now, the good news is there are so many treatments now and so many therapies and medications that do help. So it's a good time. Even, Jake's been going through this for, he's 29 now, and he started having seizures when he was 7. So 22 years. In the last 22 years, there's been incredible strides. And with AI and everything, it's only getting better. But
you're in the benefit now of those 22 years of medical developments and all of that stuff. But at the time, with no family history, when you're sitting in an office and a doctor says epilepsy, that diagnosis, like there's nothing I can relate it to. It's like coming out at halftime and you're down 35 points, and it's just like, we still have to play this game, even though I want out. I don't want to deal with this. What were the feelings? What were you and Elizabeth talking about? What was like, bring us into your world when that first diagnosis happens, and like, what were you going through?
Well, it's just in a very emotional time, because you kind of go, okay, you can block out your emotional stuff, like the sadness and the woe is me and why him and all of that. That doesn't take effect until later. And that hit us when Jake had his first brain surgery. But brain surgery is the last thing. So for 5 years, we were chasing everything. I recommend to people, absolutely get to an epileptologist. Talk about this with everyone. Don't be afraid, because the most important thing is that people around your child or your friend or your spouse know what to do in case you have a seizure. For us, it was tough because certain family members, they don't know. And we became educated right away. Elizabeth's the kind of person who goes on Google and just starts looking for all the answers. But if I could tell people things to do, it would be, it's okay to feel alone. It's okay to know nothing about this. Look, I'm going through something right now, right? I got alopecia. I lost my hair, and I'm getting the same answers from doctors where they're like, yeah, we don't really know much about it. It could be stress. It could be autoimmune. And I've checked myself out, and I'm completely healthy except, for a thyroid issue or whatever. So you just have to kind of put the pieces together, but your child, your spouse, your partner better than anyone else. So go with your instincts and don't settle. That's really important. Find a specialist. Work as a team. If you're not married, lean on your brother, your friend, your cousin, your uncle, whoever, so that you're not alone in this. And even though they might say some stupid shit, they might not know the answers. They might, say some things that people are just trying to figure it out. They're all trying to just help. But find someone to talk to, and you don't have to find, reach out to your local epilepsy center. But know that you're never going to find a mirror. You're never going to find somebody who's going through exactly what your child is going through or what you're going through or whatever. It's not going to happen. So you'll be able to glean a little bit of information, but talk about it. That's why this thing is called Talk About It, for that very reason. It helps.
Yep. You've had all these experiences. You've had the negative. You've had the positive too. What were some of the more memorable instances of your family overcoming, a tough situation, or things that you're really proud of them, specific instances of that?
Well, I think, looking back and saying, okay, I'm going to make, what good has come of this, right? A lot of good has come of this, believe it or not. And I just, and not to say that my other two boys, Jake's brothers, wouldn't have had this, or Elizabeth and I wouldn't have had this anyway. But there's an empathy and an understanding that everybody's going through something and everybody's got something, So there's been so many moments that I've been proud of our family. Like for example, I've talked about this, but when Jake was little, the boys would play video games, right? And Jake's having a little seizure, like his head is nodding or whatever. And Ben is playing him, and Ben takes that opportunity to score higher than him. He's like, he'll be upstairs and he'll yell seizure, but at the same time, he continues playing so that he can beat his brother. I mean, the normalization of all this stuff, not freaking out, it takes time. There's a learning curve there, but you have to just know that you're going to get there. A couple of other stories. Jake, played Little League, and when he would run, when he was breathing a lot, heavy breathing. It was almost like hyperventilating. So he hit a triple once and he's running around the bases and I'm in the dugout. I'm not even a coach, but I'm in the dugout because in case something happens, right? Mm-hmm. Jake hits a triple, he gets on third and he has a seizure, a huge seizure. And I pick him up and I don't want to make a big deal out of it. So, okay, he's okay. He's good. We take him off the field. And then he had urinated in his pants. So his baseball pants were all, so we take him in the car and we didn't live far and we drive home. And on the drive home, we're just like, who's going to handle this? We look at each other and Jake's in the back and he's just silent. And we get home and we park in the driveway. And before we can even turn around to Jake, he's jumped out of the car and slammed the door and run in the house. And we were thinking, oh boy, obviously he's really upset. No, he wasn't upset. He ran inside to change his pants, to get back in the car, to go and finish the game. Mm-hmm. Okay. I don't know about you, but if you, this incredible musician, had a seizure on stage, dude, this is not a joke.
I know.
Would you go backstage, change your jeans, and go back out and finish?
No, I'd be in Portugal. I'd be as far away as possible and never go back to that field. Like that.
Me too.
Incredible. Yeah.
If I was on set and God forbid I had a seizure and I would be like, call it a day.
Yeah.
And now I got to go back and it's all about me. And, that's the other thing that people forget is that you just want to live you want to do your normal stuff. Mm-hmm. You don't want it to be about, oh, there's the guy with seizures and, all attention and all eyes on you. Mm-hmm. And yet that's what all of these people that have epilepsy have to deal with every day. Mm-hmm. And it's a balance. So you have to learn and put up this thing where it's like, hey, this is my life we're talking about. This is life and death. Yeah. So let everybody know what's going on. Don't be afraid to talk about it. And if they have an issue, people in your life, find other people in your life.
Yeah.
Move on. I would normally just stick my head in the sand. Our family has been just so responsive. I've been so proud of how we've handled it. And it's easy to say, Elizabeth and I as a couple have gotten into huge arguments and frustrated moments, and we take it out on each other and we yell and scream. And we oftentimes immediately look at each other and go, we're wasting time. We're mad at epilepsy.
So those moments are misdirected anger. It's like,
100%.
It's not been about epilepsy in particular, like this treatment's better. No, it's just you're dealing with this situation. So these other little tangential things.
Oh, no, I'm talking about like, why would you wear that hat? It looks so stupid. Like normal conversations that couples would have, right? Yeah. Or I do it to her. Mm-hmm. And then we realize this isn't about that stupid hat. This is about us being so frustrated that our son isn't able to do the things that we want him to do, or we have to deal with, and we have to go to an appointment, an overnight EEG, whatever. It's the frustration manifesting itself in other stupid ways. And you just quickly shut it down and go look at each other and go, you know what? We're wasting time. This is so stupid. We're not mad at each other. And you hug each other and you have each other. Mm-hmm. So, just know, and we'll get into other caregiver stuff later, but it's okay. It's okay to not be okay. It's okay to not be perfect. I've had a few friends that have talked me through this and talked me off the ledge, and they're actors and they're also dealing as caregivers for either a parent, not epilepsy, but other issues. And it's been a lifesaver. And again, you don't get there unless you talk about it.
And you're a red phone for so many people. You talk about that all the time on the podcast. Who was your red phone? Can you specifically name some, like who did you go to early on when Jake was first diagnosed?
So I reached out to the Epilepsy Foundation of America. I highly recommend people do that. There are local chapters around the country. And I happened to befriend a guy named Phil Gattone. He was the CEO of the Epilepsy Foundation. His oldest son, Philip Jr., he has epilepsy, and he was sort of he literally looked like my son, but years advanced, right? Mm-hmm. And Philip had brain surgery, and he'd overcome it. And Philip was the dad, right? So I'm looking at another dad, and I met him in DC. I was on the National Walk. I was speaking at American Epilepsy Society conference, and it was just all overwhelming. But he was the guy that I was able to turn to as another dad, very relatable, and he was very calming, and he taught me. And the things he said to me, I now pass on to other people. But Phil Gattone was my red phone. And then Ken Lowenberg, who I started Talk About It with, and who you and I know, and I love him like a brother. These two guys have become my brothers. And you just need to do that. And you need to give in to that and know that you need someone like that to talk to. And it's okay to not know all the answers, because there are people out there that will calm you down and to say, okay, it's going to be okay. This is what I've learned. This is what I tell other people is it's going to be okay. I don't know what version of okay that's going to be for you, but it is going to be okay. So find your red phone, find that person, and be a red phone and a supportive person for someone else.
And let's talk about so many misconceptions about epilepsy. I still hear jokes or, whatever in TV or something with like putting a wallet in somebody's mouth, all this stuff. What are the biggest misconceptions about epilepsy that still exist, or maybe misconceptions about being a caregiver of somebody with epilepsy?
Okay, this is a great question. I get it a lot, and I always forget, and I will forget. There'll be more answers, so we have to do this again. But I can say one of the biggest misconceptions, just as with the 30,000 foot view, is that people with epilepsy can't do what everyone else does. And it's just not true. I mean, it's an interesting condition because it doesn't present itself, right? You don't know that people have, and if you're listening to this right now, I guarantee you, if you're in your car, someone around you has epilepsy. If you're at the office, someone in that office has epilepsy. They may not talk about it, but they do. And, it affects over 3 million people in our country and 65 million people worldwide. So yeah, it's out there. It's everywhere. So just know
3 million in our country. So if you're in a room of 120 people, one person at least has epilepsy.
Yeah. And think about the ripple effect of 3 million people plus, let's say, 4 people in their family that are dealing with them and helping them. So, I mean, you multiply that out, that's 12 million. It just ripples out. There's so many people that are affected by this. It's not just the patients, right? But just the normalization. You can do normal activities. You can get in a pool. You can bike ride. You just have to do it carefully. You have to, learn what to do. And now just go online, go to Talk About It, watch all the videos at talkaboutit.org. They're out there. We have things that we can talk about. Another misconception: you cannot catch epilepsy from someone else. It's not a contagious
People
disease.
really believe that?
Oh yeah, dude. I'm blown away by the old wives' tales that still permeate our society. Never, ever stick something in someone's mouth when they're having a seizure. You cannot choke on your own tongue. That is a myth, okay? And especially don't stick your fingers in nothing. Don't stick. If somebody is eating and they have a seizure, you have to get that food dislodged, okay? That's the only time that you would do something like that. You do not always have to call 911 immediately. Let the seizure ride itself out. Put that person on their side, so that anything in their mouth, including saliva or, if they vomit or whatever, that it comes out. If you're on your side, but when you put someone on their side, make sure their head has something soft under it so that they're not banging their head on the ground. And then, talk about it. Talk about it. Don't keep it a secret so that the more people around in your daily life or in your child's daily life knows what to do when they have a seizure, the safer they're going to be. And that it's really simple, common sense stuff. But it's something that is just so important to immediately do. Don't worry. Talk about it with everyone around you.
You answered the epilepsy misconceptions. What about misconceptions about being a caregiver of somebody with epilepsy? What do you experience, or what do you hear?
I just, the biggest thing is that people take this as just this overwhelming task that they have to do alone. And I just feel like there are people out there that will support you. The biggest misconception, I think, or not misconception, but worry with caregivers is that they, and it takes a while to build up this trust, but to trust other people, to care for your loved one, especially a child. You never want to leave them alone with anybody else. And you have to find balance in that, because you as a caregiver, you have to take care of yourself first. It's the old, on a plane where they say,
secure your own mask first before helping others.
Yeah, because if you're not healthy, if you don't take care of yourself through self-care, I mean, look what could happen. You could lose your hair. No, I mean, it's important to take care of yourself first. Self-care is so incredibly important. And I balance that with a bunch of different things. But, the biggest misconception, I think, is that, you can be everywhere all at the same time and no one else knows what to do. That's just not true. Just educate others around you and trust your in-laws, trust your friends, trust, the teachers. It's okay. And you'll get to a balance. And by the way, I mean, here's a personal story, but like Elizabeth and I wanted to go to Europe. I was like, I want to take my wife to Europe. Jake was having seizures and I kidnapped her, basically. I tricked her into thinking she was getting on one plane and we were off to Europe. She was so mad at me. We get there, we get to Paris, we go to this little bistro. We're sitting in the bistro and my phone goes off and it's a text from the school district. And whenever you see that, you know, okay, this is not good. He had a seizure. I said, excuse me one second. I'll be right back. I had to take a phone call. I went on the street and I stood and I called them and I said, what's going on? They said, he had a seizure. Your mother-in-law's here. Everything's fine. He's okay. And I'm like, okay. So I went back inside and I said, okay, our worst fear has come true. Here we are in Europe and he just had a seizure and he's fine. And it just kind of put us at ease. We were like, oh, okay. Yeah. And I'm not saying that should happen. I hope it doesn't happen to anybody, but it was hard to enjoy that trip being so far away, but we trusted in Elizabeth's mom and my mom and our parents, you know, to be there and to handle things. And now it's even hard. Jake's 29, but his girlfriend also has epilepsy. We've had her on the show. Addie Dector, she's wonderful. They know how to take care of each other. You will find as the child or the person gets older or in different situations, you get a new job, educate everybody at that place because if they know what to do, look, if somebody has an asthma attack, they're going to talk about it and then the people know, you know, don't be ashamed of anything. Everyone's got something. If they say they don't have something and they're living a perfect life, they're lying or it's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. You talked about balance. You're a working actor. First, we had another question that was a late addition. You've been in Star Trek and Star Wars. Which one do you like better?
In the middle of all this, I love it. Star Wars has always been like, you know, near and dear to my heart. I love the Star Trek community too. I mean, honestly, they have embraced me. But when I was a kid, that was my show. I mean, that was my film series. You know, it's like that was the first time that I came out of a theater and went, where were these characters before this happened? And where are they going? You know, so Star Wars is just something that I don't know, man. I always go back to. I'm definitely a Star Wars guy. Although I'm so lucky to be in both worlds, and I've got this picture that I sign at Comic-Cons, and it says you have to trek before you war. It's because you know it's like there's nothing wrong with being. And I'm not the only one. There's been Simon Pegg, a lot of people that have been in both franchises. So that's a stupid question. Thanks for that stupid question.
You're so welcome. That was the internet. Blame them.
I love it.
So you talked about balance and you're a working actor. You've done Star Wars, you've done Star Trek. How do you balance being a caregiver with your professional life? Because I'm sure things are at odds. It's, you know, there's conflict.
Yeah. And as a caregiver, so especially since production has left town, right? There's been so few things shot here. So I've had to balance. Luckily, when Jake was going through the worst of it, you know, just to report, Jake is doing great. I mean, he's on great medications. He takes care of himself and all that. So he is living well with it. A lot of people aren't, and they're trying to find that. I don't use the term seizure freedom because, you know, it's a term that's like,
it's a misnomer.
You know, like you were trapped. What?
I said it's a misnomer because it can happen. You know, you could have breakthrough seizures in it and not dealing with the guilt of that or whatever comes along with like, oh, what did I do? What did I not do? I just feel like it's,
yeah. And we've talked about it on the podcast before. It sets these unreal expectations. So you're like, oh, I've been seizure free for so many days. And it's like seizure freedom. Don't go, I've gone 6 months. And it's like, cause then when you do have a seizure, you may be in denial because you're like, I went 6 months. I don't want to admit that this is over. This is controlling me. It just adds to more frustration, which can be a trigger. And so just take one day at a time, celebrate the victories because you took a trip and you didn't have a seizure after a flight, or you played in a sporting event and you didn't have a seizure, whatever. Those are things. Those are immediate things that you can be like, hey, we just had a successful day or whatever. But I don't know. I just have a hard time when people go, I've gone 2 years, and good for them. I mean, celebrate how you celebrate. But just for us personally, it's something that we just never like, that's not the top of our list kind of a thing, you know, to celebrate.
And going back to the professional life versus, I mean, I'm sure you had resources and stuff. So maybe we could bundle these questions together because somehow, you know, you and Elizabeth have managed this great. And you not only have Jake, but you have Ben and Sam, your boys who all had busy baseball schedules, school schedules. You're working. You might have to fly to, New York or something. Elizabeth has to take Sam. There was a lot going on. How did you balance that? And were there resources that you used or, specific resources that you used or ones that you know of that are available to people?
Well, it's such an individual question. I mean, we have a good support system around us. And I have to say I have the greatest wife in the world. I know you just got married to one of my favorite people in the whole
I was going to say, that's where we disagree, but yes.
I know we have to disagree. But you'll experience this where, there's sacrifices, right? Like your wife is a professional stunt woman and actress. I mean, she that's going to take her places. You're a musician. That's going to take you places. And, you have to be there for each other for appointments and things, whatever. And you just cover for each other. And we've always just been such a great tag team, and it's not always that way. But there have been one particular thing. I had just finished Heroes. So I was top of the world, right? Everybody wanted me for series, whatever. And I get a call from two very close friends, and they're redoing Hawaii Five-0, and they want me. The network wants me. Do you want to play Dano? And for Hawaii Five-0, one of my favorite shows. Growing up, Dano. I mean, come on, what a cool character!
Yeah, you could book him every episode, man.
Yeah, book him, Dano.
Yeah,
book him, Dano.
And it just would have been the best role. And I knew that show was going to go for 10 years. It would have been financial security for the rest of my life. But we couldn't move to Hawaii. Jake was struggling. And I had a long talk with Elizabeth, and, it was tough. I mean, it was really, really tough and to say no to that, but you do what you have to do for your family. And, I have no regrets, zero regrets. So just know that it's not even one door closes, another door opens, but many things happen for a reason. I just firmly believe that, and just roll with it. It's one day at a time, because one seizure can change your friend, your child, your spouse's life. You need to make sure that, everything's okay.
Yeah.
Jake's living well with it. It's not lost on me that, and it's something we think about a lot. SUDEP, it's like sudden unexpected death in epilepsy. It happens. People have seizures and their heart stops. And so you have to continue to run and race and make sure that you're doing everything you can to not have your child, especially, or an adult, whoever you're caring for, have seizures. I mean, whatever it is, don't settle. One seizure a month is not acceptable. Yeah, it's better than the 12 you had last month. But that one seizure could be at the wrong time, when you're driving, when you're swimming, when you're doing something. So get it under control as much as you can. Don't stop. Keep looking for better therapies, better treatments, a better way of life, sleeping better, diet better, whatever.
Are there specific resources or communities that you've leaned on in your journey with Jake's epilepsy?
Certainly the Epilepsy Foundation of America has been an incredible resource. They have so many sort of subsets within. Just go to the website, find your local chapter, talk to other people. Now you don't have to leave your house. You talk over Zoom, find somebody else to talk to. And most people don't know the nurse practitioners, the physician's assistants, Janet, who we've had on a number of times on the podcast. These are people that are the intermediaries between the epileptologist or the neurologist and the nurses, right? There's someone in between that is sort of your day-to-day person. Lean on that person. Get a community. And it doesn't have to be epilepsy. Find other parents that are caregivers. They're around you. I don't care if it could be somebody that's taking care of their senior citizen. Yvette Nicole Brown, right? She's a friend of mine. She takes care of her dad who has Alzheimer's and dementia, and she has been such a wealth of information. And it's not even the knowledge she has. It's just the experience she has, right? When you talk to somebody that's walked a mile in your shoes, or 10 miles, you've walked a mile, they've walked 10. There's just this compassion and this shorthand that you have with them immediately. Find that person. That's different for everybody. That's why, you're asking me for resources. The Epilepsy Foundation and talkaboutit.org. Cannot stress this enough. Yeah, we have 300,000 subscribers and growing, and we're doing great videos. But Ken and I and you, we are working our butts off, man, to really coalesce and bring this community together and let people know that they're not alone. So lean on us, follow us, subscribe, talk about us, share us, because we have so many different things, and lean on other people for help. All the actors you see on there, I reach out to all those people, and I will not take no for an answer. I will do anything I can to help this community.
And I imagine that it's like, these are exponential growth too with communities. For instance, just taking the Dectors, for instance, like going to the walk, then you meet Ben Dector, and then Jake meets Addie, and now they have a community. So going to these things begets another thing, begets another community, and then you can kind of grow that way. So finding your local chapter. I imagine this will have a similar answer, which is what advice do you have for caregivers who feel isolated or overwhelmed? What can they do? What would you tell them?
So the first thing that I tell them is it's going to be okay. What level of okay, I can't guarantee, because every situation is different.
Yep.
And I'm just going to repeat myself, because this is, everyone feels,
important, I think.
But everyone feels overwhelmed. Right. And I have done a series of videos with a couple of, 3 really great caregivers that are famous, because I wanted to get the word out, but I've heard from many other not famous, obviously regular caregivers. But Yvette Nicole Brown says,
you got to let the guilt go. There's a lot of guilt in caregiving. You got to cut yourself some slack. The mistakes are going to happen.
Chris Gorham has said,
you're not going to do everything right. You're going to make mistakes. You have to really practice at being able to forgive yourself and then move forward.
These are not life-changing or altering decisions. These are like, I should have gotten to that appointment earlier or whatever. Don't beat yourself up. Meredith Vieira says,
you've got to be able to express yourself as a caregiver. You can't hold back and say, no, I have to be the stoic one because so-and-so is carrying the burden of illness and I can't possibly have any emotions that aren't anything but supportive. No, there are days you want to just run, or you want a day for yourself, or you want a day to cry, or you want a day to just scream because you're so frustrated. And I say, go for it.
Self-care is so important. The caregiver series that I do, it's called, you go to the caregiverseries.com. You've got to learn from other caregivers. And that's all people in the epilepsy community, which is good for all of us. But there's shared wisdom from inside or outside the epilepsy community. Look, Chris Gorham does not deal with his child with epilepsy. His child is on the spectrum. Yvette Nicole Brown, YNB, she deals with an adult, she's taking care of her father with dementia. Meredith Vieira sadly lost her husband to ALS. And so it's, but we learn from each other and we share. And again, there's a bonding and an understanding that you get from another caregiver that you're not going to get from anyone else. So, it's finding that, but really letting yourself have your self-care. There are certain things that I do for self-care that I absolutely have to do. And I love music with you is one of them. We have our band, the Action Figures band. We love it. And it's an escape and it's fun and we help others. We raise money and whatever. But I've also learned to get on the Peloton, get on the treadmill, and also
go with your penguins.
With my penguins.
Yeah.
Shout out to Smitty and to JD. Yeah, we're like 3 fat penguins. We walk around together but we get our steps in and we bond and we walk. And by the way, walking 3 minutes as fast as you can, 3 minutes at a normal pace. Keep repeating that. And I go 15 minutes out, 15 minutes back. I've done my 30 minutes and it's great. And I've got my heart rate up. It's healthy and it's good. And it just clears your mind. The other thing is I have this art project that I do. And hopefully for the people that are watching this, we're going to bring up pictures. I make these bowls, but look, here's one right here. I mean, look at this ticket bowl. This is a ticket bowl. It's made from raffle tickets and I put them all together and then I shape it into, this one's an odd shape because
I like that. Yeah.
Isn't that cool? It's on my desk. Yeah. Look at that. It's super cool, but it gives me that self-care time and that time where I'm like, yeah, this is me time. And it's 5 minutes. And by the way, if Jake wasn't doing well and he was younger or whatever, I could imagine making a bowl or doing some art project. And in the middle of it, I have to rush upstairs to him. Fine. Then you'll come back to it. It's not the end of the world. And if it ruins your project, throw it away. Start again. It doesn't matter. The other thing which we've highlighted is a pet. I am a firm believer in having a dog. I know you have an amazing dog, Nick. I know it's just another thing to care for. And some people that are out there right now that are overwhelmed, I'm not suggesting you have to do this, but there's this unconditional calming and something that only a dog or a cat can give you. That is just, there's nothing like it. And when Bowie has jumped up on Jake's bed and our dogs before, Lucy and Blue, and there's just something that a dog gives someone with epilepsy or any kind of a condition or a caregiver that you can't get from a human. You just can't. And so I highly recommend that.
And with that, we are going to end this episode, but
I have to say, I am not happy that you have control over this show now. I do not like it, but I like this. And I encourage other people to send their questions in. Guys, we love you. We love this community. Keep the questions coming. I don't care. I am an open book, warts and all. I have warts in places that only Nick has seen, but I'm willing to share them with everyone. Keep the questions coming. You're doing a great job. Keep up the fight, and we are here for you.
that is going to do it for this part one of our conversation with Talk About It's very own Greg Grunberg. But tune in next episode because we're going to dive in even deeper. We're going to get practical with establishing routines to help with seizures, how to talk to friends and family about epilepsy, what to do in a medical appointment, and even the future of Talk About It. So do not miss that. Tune in next time right here on Talk About It.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Talk About It with Greg Grunberg. Sponsored by Neurelis and by Jazz Pharmaceuticals. Thank you to our special guests for joining us, and thank you J.J. Abrams for the theme music that you're hearing right now. Talk About It is produced by Ken Lowenberg, Greg Grunberg, and Nick Marzock. Editing, directing, and incidental music by Nick Marzock. Go to talkaboutitonvideo.com to watch these episodes, and as always, don't forget to talk about it. This podcast is a production of the Talk About It Company and Motel Podcasts.